Good morning, students. It is a cool and rainy Tuesday, but I'm not going to let that get me down. So today I just want to talk to you a little bit about the writing process again, as both the 7th graders and a few 8th graders who are kind of in the middle, maybe a little bit behind, are still working on the letter writing assignment. So this goes out to you 8th graders who are maybe just a touch behind, and this goes out to you 7th graders who are maybe just a touch ahead. All right. So trying to land this between you two groups. All right. But we're going to review the writing process very quickly, because one thing I have found in the past couple weeks or so of review that I've been doing in the live lessons for all of you guys is that a lot of you have fallen victim to the idea that the writing process is a strict thing that you must do in one way. And that is something that I very much do not want you to leave this class thinking. I tried to make it very clear in my previous videos about the writing process that you do not have to follow it exactly. The writing process is just that. It's a process. It is a way in which you do something. It does not have to be done the same way every time. So, for example, let's say that you and your brother were both asked to make a delicious meal for your grandparents who are coming over, but you disagree on what the grandparents should eat and how you should prepare the food. You think that a nice salad should then be followed by a steak and potatoes meal, and then you can have a little dessert afterwards. But your brother thinks, all right, listen, they're 75 years old, right? Like, they don't need to eat a salad before their meal, right? Like, come on, right? Let's have like a nice small meal of like nice steak, right? So and maybe mashed potatoes, because, you know, they're a little older, maybe like, you know, the whole potatoes wouldn't be good. So let's do a filet mignon with a soft mashed potatoes. And then afterwards, yes, I agree, we can have some ice cream. So you both agree ice cream, but you disagree on the process and how to get there, and you disagree on the type of food to serve them. When in reality, your grandparents are going to just be happy that you cooked for them. They're not going to care what you made. They're just going to enjoy the meal, right? So the process that you go through to provide a delicious meal for your grandparents ultimately doesn't matter that much, because both of you are trying and both of you are going to make something delicious. If you want to make a delicious essay, then you should probably follow these steps, but you can do it in whatever order you want. Okay, so the first thing that we typically do in the writing classroom is we pre-write. All right, pre-writing is incredibly important because it allows you to develop your ideas before you begin writing. This process that I'm going to go through again is designed to save you time. It is designed to make things easier for you, not harder. It's not designed to make things harder for you. Okay, so I'm going to go through the process and then I'll reiterate maybe a way that would make it harder. So pre-writing first, because it helps you establish your ideas, get your research done, and, you know, write a few of the things that you definitely want to have. It helps you design your structure. All right, after we pre-write, only then do we begin our rough drafting. Okay, now our rough drafting process, a lot of people tend to think rough draft, I'm just writing some words down and then throwing it at the teacher and then getting whatever grade I get. When we rough draft, we're making our best effort to write our first piece of whatever it is, okay, our first essay. Your rough draft should be good enough that if you were to turn it in, you would still get reasonable credit for the assignment. You haven't made it perfect yet, but it is your first try, okay? Try to get it out of your head right now that drafting is just like a messy, like, you know, half-written process that doesn't really matter what it is. A draft is just one attempt, okay? So we do our pre-writing, which is where we get all messy and we write whatever we want to write and we, you know, be creative in our designing. But the rough draft is still, it should be your honest attempt, your honest first attempt. After your rough drafting, you might realize there's some big problems with your essay, so you go on to revising. Revising is probably the longest and most important process, in that you can change large portions of your essay. You could get rid of whole paragraphs. You could put the beginning at the end and change your structure, and you could do all sorts of things. After our revising, we finally get to our editing. And after our editing, which is all of our punctuation and whatever, we go to our publishing. Now, I said that you don't have to follow this process exactly. And that's true. But it's designed to help you eliminate some problems. All right. So let's just say that you start and you're like, I have this idea. I know exactly what I want to do. And bing, bang, boom, you shove out this rough draft right before you do your pre-writing. And then you're so excited with your rough draft and you're like, I'm ready to turn this in. You go and edit it. Okay. So now you've made a rough draft and you've edited. And then you find a problem. Maybe you realize, like many students do, that you didn't follow the prompt exactly. Maybe you got too excited and now your entire essay is off prompt. It's going to get a 0, right? So you have to go back now after you not only wrote a whole rough draft, but you also edited it. And now you have to go back to your pre-writing step and identify that prompt and develop a structure again, right? So now you're like, okay, well, I'm developing a structure for it. Now I'm at revising, right? So I went straight into rough drafting and then I went into editing and now I'm going back to revising. And as you're revising, you realize that you have to completely rewrite the structure of your paper. So now you're back to pre-writing. After your pre-writing, you go back to drafting to get it done. Then you go to editing to make it better. So you did it not only out of order because you were excited, but you also then kind of double dipped on a few steps and you made it harder for yourself. If what I just described sounds familiar, it's because I've seen students do it dozens or even hundreds of times. So there's a reason why I'm telling you, right, that this process is designed to help save you time and effort. Now, that said, you do not have to do it in this order. Maybe you do have a really good idea. Maybe you do bang out an awesome draft. And then you're like, okay, well, I have a great draft, but I don't have a good conclusion. So I'm going to pre-write some ideas for a conclusion. So you write a couple of different, ideas for a conclusion, how to start it out, maybe how you're going to end it. All right. You troubleshoot, figure out which one you like the best. Then you draft your conclusion, you revise it a little bit, and then you finish. So you ended up going through the steps out of order, but it's because you had a good reason to. Now, if you have a good reason to, you're allowed to break the rules and do whatever you want, right? You do not have to follow the writing process exactly, but I do want to reiterate that there's a reason why we do this. It does help you, and it makes things easier. That's my whole goal here, is to make writing easier for you. So good luck. I hope this helped you 7th and 8th graders who are kind of hitting that writing section again. So we are almost done with the year. Just a little quick recap. We're almost done with the year. We are heading into PSSAs soon, and there, is some writing on the PSSAs. So be thinking about this writing process as you head into that state testing. All right. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.